All right, so last time we talked about how to solve using substitution. This is the other method for finding a point of intersection, which is called the solution to a system, which is 2 lines. Elimination, new method. Okay, so let's do the basics. When you do elimination, you need to set up your equations, your 2 equations, so that they are like this. You have the x and y's next to each other equal to a number. You can rearrange it different ways if you want. I like doing it this way so it's all standardized. So right now, my x has to move over, so I'm going to rearrange that first one to be 3x plus 2y equals 10. That's the first equation. The second one, I have to move the numbers over here and the y's over here, so it's going to be 3x plus 6y equals 18. So now, you can notice they're all lined up, so we have the x's in one row, the y's in another row, and the numbers in another row. The equals are in the same spot too, which is really important. It doesn't matter if these are plus or minus. Okay? So, what we are going to do, if you remember back in like super basic grade school, okay, when you did adding like this, okay, you add the columns, right? Basic addition, like long addition. We're going to do that, but with this. I'm going to add or subtract these 2 equations. Our goal is to get rid of one. Because if we have x and y in an equation, we can't do it. But what if it was just 2y equals 10? We could solve that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these, and I'm going to say, let's get rid of. That's what eliminate means, right? Elimination means get rid of either x or y. So when I look at this, the 3x's are the same. So if I subtracted those, 3x minus 3x is 0x. That's good. So I'm going to subtract. Now I'm going to subtract the y's. So 2y minus 6y gives you negative 4y. The equal stays in the same place. 10 minus 18 gives you negative 8. I don't care about 0x, so it's negative 4y equals negative 8, which means y is equal to 2. Okay, divide both sides by negative 4. So now I found y, which is just what we did with substitution. It's just a little bit different way of doing it. Now, again, after you know what y is, we need to sub and solve. Sub y equals 2, whichever equation, it doesn't matter. So let's do that first one. So 2y equals 10 minus 3x. 2 equals 10 minus 3x. 4 equals 10 minus 3x. 3x equals 10 minus 4 is 6. X equals 2. That's our answer. So the answer would be 2, 2. Now, let's do it a little bit different. In this situation, I have these lined up already, so it's easier to see. I noticed that the y's are actually the same number. So in this case, I would add, because 3y plus negative 3y is 0y. Okay? So you would go through the rest of the steps. So this would be 10x, and this would be 40. And again, isolate and solve. So this would be x equals 4, and I would sub that in to find y. These ones are a little harder. I have lined them up, but you'll notice these numbers don't match. None of them are the same. So what we have to do is we actually have to multiply one of the equations to make them the same. So I'm going to decide, well, I know that 2 times 3 gives me 6. So let's just do this one. I'm going to multiply it by 3. So it's going to be 6x plus 9y equals 30. So now I don't care about that. And now when I look at these 2 equations, I'm actually going to subtract. So 6x minus 6x, 0x. 4y minus 9y is negative 5y. 25 minus 30 is negative 5. So y equals 1. Okay? And then again, I'm going to sub that into an equation. It doesn't really matter which. I like to do that one. Okay? And it'll find the answers. 2x plus 3 times 1 equals 10. 2x equals 10 minus 3. X equals 7 over 2. Okay? So that's our xy value, which was the answer right here. So you have to multiply one of them first. The last one we're going to do is when you have to multiply both equations. So when I look at this, 3 times anything doesn't equal 4, 5 times, it doesn't work. So let's pick these ones. I'm going to multiply both equations so they become the same. The easiest way to do this is multiply them by each other. So I'm going to do this one times 3 and this one times 4. So when I do this equation times 3, it's going to turn into 9x plus 15y equals 30. And then when I do this one, let's do it in red, Okay, so it's going to become, oh, sorry, my mistake. This one should be times 4. Silly, Mr. K. 12x plus 20y equals 40. This one's going to be times 3, because this will give us 12x, because now we'll know that these are the same, minus 24y equals, what was that, 64? Okay, now we have these lined up, and then we can deal with it accordingly. So I'm going to be getting rid of the x's, and I can subtract. So it's going to be 0x. Remember, negative negative gives me adding, so it's going to be plus 44y equals 104. And then you can go through the rest of the steps, find what y is equal to, I'm pretty sure it's -1, and then sub that into one of the equations and find out what x is equal to. So, that was a lot of information pretty fast, but the basics apply. You have 2 equations. You either add or subtract them, so you get 0x or 0y, it doesn't matter which, and then you find one variable and sub it in to get the other. That's it. This one's harder than substitution, but you need to be able to do both. I think it's harder. Some people like elimination better, but that's it.